How you doing, Cali Crowd? To stretch or not to stretch? That is the question. Stretching, mobility, flexibility, this area of training is one of the most fundamentally misunderstood aspects of fitness. So before we dive in, let's define what I mean by stretching. Simply put, in the context of this video, stretching is any activity that stretches the muscles with the aim to improve musculoskeletal function, increase range of motion, or decrease the likelihood of injury. When people ask, is it good to stretch before working out, what they're actually asking is one of two questions. Number one, will stretching before a workout decrease my likelihood of injury? And number two, how will stretching before a workout affect my performance in the workout I'm about to do? Let's tackle the injury prevention bit first. From a young age, we're told to hold static stretches before exercise to decrease our chances of getting injured. And at face value, you can understand why. We know that static stretching gives us access to a wider range of motion. So you would think that if you stretched before a workout, you would be better prepared to train, right? Well, there are two reasons why I have an issue with this. The first is that there is a big difference between static passive flexibility, such as that in a pike, versus dynamic active flexibility, such as in a leg raise. Just because you can exhibit range of motion in one does not mean you can display it in the other, especially when considering static passive flexibility is always going to be greater than dynamic flexibility. Also, we must consider that static stretching does not increase our muscles' ability to produce force in that new range of motion. And it's when your muscles cannot resist external and environmental forces on your body, especially in unfamiliar ranges of motion, that's where injuries are likely to occur. Secondly, a 2015 study on various types of athletic performance showed that static stretching had no impact on injury reduction. The confusion on this topic seems to be born out of the fact that some studies show that flexibility leads to a lower likelihood of injury, especially in relation to high-impact sports. People then read this and then infer that stretching will lead to lower injuries. But flexibility and stretching are not the same thing, and I'll get into why this distinction is important later in the video. But this does bring me on to the second question around stretching before a workout, which is how will it affect performance? So as we mentioned, the studies do show that static stretching before a workout does have clear range of motion benefits. And we know that when we train, we should be taking our muscles through a full range of motion if we want to build global strength. So does that mean we should all start static stretching before our workouts? Well, not exactly. The studies on the effects of static stretching before training are mixed, to say the least. Various studies showed that static stretching before a workout had a detrimental impact on our muscles' ability to contract and ultimately reduces their force production, while others show that static stretching for short periods had no impact on performance at all. And some even show that static stretching before a workout may even have short-term benefits to muscle size. Where the literature all seems to agree though, is that dynamic stretching at a low intensity in a way that reflects the activity you are about to do not only yields temporary increases in the range of motion that you can access, but can also have very clear beneficial results on performance. Dynamic stretching also increases muscle temperature, and we know that warm muscles are able to produce more force. So does that mean we should all stop static stretching and that it has no place within our training? Well, no, because flexibility is still important, and the literature shows us that holding static stretches with varying degrees of intensity for 2 minutes or more can have considerable long-term benefits to flexibility. This means that we can do static stretching at the end of our workouts when our muscles are already warm and so more compliant to access the range we want to push into. More to the point is that after the workout, we wouldn't care about the temporary performance impacts of static stretching. The way I kind of see static stretching is that we stretch today after the workout for the range we want to access tomorrow during the workout. Then, once we have built up strength within that wider range, we are then less likely to get injured and then actually able to perform better within that new range as well. So how could you apply this to calisthenics training? Well, say I'm about to go through a grueling push-based handstand session. I would start by dynamically stretching the main muscle groups, such as shown within my 5-minute warm-up routine. Then I would train ensuring I'm using full range of motion, therefore building strength throughout the range. One of the ways we can ensure the flexibility lasts long term. Then, after my handstand workout, that is when I would employ intense static stretching to unlock greater range, such as the stretches I walk through in my video on building open shoulders. I guess what I'm trying to stress here is that static stretching is important, but when you do it is also important. Like with most things within fitness, know what you want to achieve and use the tools necessary to help you get there. I will link to all the literature that I've cited in today's video in the description below. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section down there as well. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it and it was valuable to you, and I'll see you in the next one.